Good evening, everyone. This is Jessie, your co-host to Clapback Culture, live alongside my co-host, Mr. Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Julia?
Man, I feel like I'm sitting up way taller than you or something.
I know. What's going
I
on?
don't
Did
know.
you
It
did you
this is
grow
the
a
height
couple
of my
inches?
hair. I'm in my throne, honey. You know.
There
Sit
you
up,
go.
Mike. Welcome to our viewing audience. It's so good to see all of y'all. Again here this week, this Thursday. Happy to see some familiar faces. Whew, Mike, it's been a crazy, crazy week for me. It's been an emotional high and low. I actually just left a public safety meeting, coming here, and it's just so much going on in the world. It's so much going on in our community. It's just some heavy stuff. It's been some heavy, heavy, heavy stuff lately, and
Are you
I don't
good
know.
out there? Because y'all been in the news.
Yeah, we've been in the news for a lot of things, but I think it's kind of what's not being published in the news, and just it's just a lot of trauma. It's a lot of trauma in our community, and we need to really kind of just unify, and that's all I could really say is just all across the country we're seeing a rise in homicides. We're seeing a rise in mental health. We're seeing a rise in COVID. We're seeing a rise in everything, and I think a lot of it is just us not addressing the root cause, but treating the symptoms. So we have to do better as a community to kind of address the concerns of the people. It's just time to unify, man. Really, really and truly. All right, y'all. We're getting a little bit of feedback in the background. Does anyone hear Mike's echo? Do you guys hear an echo, Mike? I don't hear an echo from you. If you guys,
Am I? Is it still an echo right now?
I don't hear it, but let's a few people are saying they hear it, Mike. I know I personally don't. So let's do this. We're gonna go ahead and roll into our first topic. We're gonna talk about Joe Biden and his take on Afghanistan. So this is a bit of a long clip, but we want to play the whole thing so we can come back and talk about it.
When I came into office, I inherited a deal that President Trump negotiated with the Taliban. Under his agreement, U.S. forces would be out of Afghanistan by May 1, 2021, just a little over 3 months after I took office. U.S. forces had already drawn down during the Trump administration from roughly 15,500 American forces to 2,500 troops in country. And the Taliban was at its strongest militarily since 2001. The choice I had to make as your president was either to follow through on that agreement or be prepared to go back to fighting the Taliban in the middle of the spring fighting season. There would have been no ceasefire after May 1. There was no agreement protecting our forces after May 1. There was no status quo of stability without American casualties after May 1. There was only a cold reality of either following through on the agreement to withdraw our forces or escalating the conflict and sending thousands more American troops back into combat in Afghanistan, lurching into the third decade of conflict. I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces. That's why we're still there. We were clear-eyed about the risks. We planned for every contingency, but I always promised the American people that I would be straight with you. The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated. So what's happened? Afghanistan political leaders gave up and fled the country. The Afghan military collapsed, sometime without trying to fight. If anything, the developments of the past week reinforced that ending U.S. military involvement in Afghanistan now was the right decision. American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves. We spent over $1 trillion. We trained and equipped an Afghan military force with some 300,000 strong, incredibly well equipped, a force larger in size than the militaries of many of our NATO allies. We gave them every tool they could need. We paid their salaries, provided for the maintenance of their Air Force, something the Taliban doesn't have. Taliban does not have an Air Force.
I mean, listen. Oh, wow. Now I'm hearing a feedback. Okay. Sorry, you guys. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Listen, Mike, this to me, we saw those polarizing videos of people from Afghanistan, trying to jump ship on that plane to get up out of here. And, it's heartbreaking. It's definitely heartbreaking to see something like that, to see people feeling like so desperate that they would hold the wings of an aircraft and fall from 20-something thousand feet in the air to their death. It's horrible. And I think, we have a few people who are even joining us saying, as a soldier, I'm with him. I agree with Joe Biden. You can't infuse capital into a country and their own leadership abandons them. Coming from this meeting that I just talked about, when you are fighting on the front lines, you're fighting on the front lines. Nobody would be able to take over my house. And I think it's so important that if you really think about the concept of the situation, you can't baby anybody. You can give somebody resources. You can teach somebody how to fish, but if they don't go out there and try it and do it themselves, they're going to starve. And so at this point, it's an unfortunate situation for the people of Afghanistan, but their leadership fell short. And that's not for the United States to do anything more, but to implement a humanitarian effort to continue to assist from the back end. And I think that's exactly what President Joe Biden is doing right now, is implementing right now. And I stand by his decision.
I agree, and I stand by his decision. I just think the way that he came to that decision is where he finds the scrutiny. I think that the president in Afghanistan he told Joe Biden a week before we pulled out that if we pull out that fast, then our government isn't going to be able to handle it. They're going to lose our confidence and people are going to take over. And by people, I mean the Taliban. This echo's killing me. But I think that, Biden had an opportunity to pull Americans out earlier. I think that we've been in that war for 20 years. I think that as a people, we were all ready to be out of there. It was never the plan to stay there forever. But the way that he pulled out so abruptly, that we have Americans in Afghanistan right now who were not in the capital city who may not even be able to get out. I mean, U.S. troops have secured the airport in Kabul, but the U.S. Embassy can't guarantee safe passage to the airport for the Americans that are still left there. So those are the types of things where I think that Biden deserves some criticism, not just for pulling out, but for not putting things in place before he pulled out to at least get the Americans out safely. And then as far as like the Afghanistan people, you know, there's a lot of people there that work for the government who did a lot of work for us who were promised safe passage when we pulled out. And because we pulled out so abruptly, now we're not even able to give those people safe passage either. So it's not the fact that we left. I think it's the way that we did it.
Yeah, I mean, logistically, it's a nightmare, right? You never want to see anybody left behind. And so I agree with you. It's a logistical nightmare. However, you know, you can't, like Harry Jefferson said, you can't fight for somebody harder than somebody's going to fight for themselves. And so we have to, you know, protect our people. Those are our people on the front lines, you know, holding down the fort and trying to implement democracy and support the people. And for 20 years, and you think about the lives that we lost as an American people, the lives that, you know, all the trauma that people are still suffering with, our veterans who are home, still living with that trauma, still trying to unravel that and go on about their lives. And so, you know, a decision had to be made. And ultimately that decision was made. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, there's never going to be the perfect picture in how that was to be established. I am shocked and surprised that the Afghanistan government didn't fight harder to secure their country. But at this point, it is what it is, you know, and we're going to have to sit back and just see how the cookie crumbles.
I agree. I do think about the refugees because there are refugees that are trying to leave Afghanistan, and you don't have a track record with accepting people from Muslim or Islamic countries. So I hope those people don't just support and they can pull out. But I think everything you said.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to another story, y'all. Moderna is starting trials as of today, allegedly, experimental trials on an HIV vaccine, according to a new post on ClinicalTrials.gov. Moderna is looking to enroll 56 healthy adults without HIV to test the safety of the vaccine and basic immune response. This is kind of dope, you guys. What Moderna, you know, they're a biotechnology company, and they're basically coming and saying, you know, the COVID vaccine, we were able to roll that out and get this kind of emergency use. And now, you know, and I'm just looking at my notes, you guys. And the CEO of Moderna said in an update, this was way back in January, but they say, even as we have shown with that our mRNA-based vaccine can prevent COVID-19, this has encouraged us to pursue more ambitious development programs within our vaccine modality. Today, we're announcing 3 new vaccine programs addressing seasonal flu, HIV, and the Nipah virus. I hope I'm saying that correctly, you guys. Some of which have eluded traditional vaccine efforts, and all of which we believe can be addressed with our new technology. Pretty cool. Mike, your thoughts?
Yo, this is huge. That HIV vaccine before had 2. One of them had a 30% effective rate, and the other one actually increased the chances of getting HIV. And it has people from even charged for the vaccine. The crazy part about this to me, y'all from my audio, but it's that you already acknowledge that so many anti-vaxxers are afraid of even making this vaccine possible because of the nature of HIV and the way that it mutates so much. It makes it hard to do a traditional vaccine. But with the mRNA, and what they found with COVID is that they can just update it every time there's a new mutation. You could go get a booster shot and you're good. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially with COVID and with the intelligence, we'll see all these other variants about booster shots and people are afraid of them. The technology Moderna system and the technology that Pfizer uses is specifically created to combat those barriers. So hopefully America is down for this vaccine and they take it, and I hope we can treat the HIV vaccine the way they treated the COVID vaccine.
Unfortunately, Mike, we didn't get to hear you that clear, brother. But we felt your passion there, brother, and I know that this is one of the good topics. You guys, can I just say it just sucks so bad when we prep for this show, because behind the scenes we are always able to hear each other, and then boom, there's that. So a lot of people are so Mike, go ahead and adjust your audio and we'll kind of just move on from there. But yeah, Scott, he asked, why now? What took so long for the HIV vaccine? I think you addressed this, Mike, in your comment, and I know a lot of other people are talking about it. There's actually a drug out called PrEP, and it will make it so that your viral load is so low that if you took an HIV test, you wouldn't show up, you wouldn't be able to test positive because your viral load is that low. And so I think when we're talking about a vaccine, I'm not exactly sure how that science would work. But to answer the question, why now? I think maybe why not? And so, this is science, this is technology, and it's ever changing. And, Renee says, this is a potential game changer. It absolutely is. And so I support this study. I support this clinical trial. And I think, somebody has to be the face. Somebody has to step out there and try and be at the forefront. So this is where we're at with it. And I see a lot of you guys in the comments like, well, why can't we work on cancer? Hell yeah. We need to keep that same energy when it comes to combating cancer. So, rest in peace to my father who died of lung cancer. It took his life very swiftly in a matter of 4 months after being diagnosed. So this is, again, we got to continue to infuse capital into these medical trials, these research trials, and, really push more people, more young people to go into this field. And so that we can be able to establish more research, do more studying, and really back things like this to keep people alive. So there we are with that. We're going to move on to the next topic, y'all. Of course, this is a super funny topic. Governor Abbott testing positive for COVID. I know all y'all heard about that. Cuddy, do we have a clip? Let's go ahead and run that clip and come back.
Thank you. 6:33, big story we're following this morning. Governor Abbott getting treatment after testing positive, for COVID-19.
This comes as the Biden administration is expected to push all fully vaccinated Americans to eventually get a booster shot. Kathy Hernandez live for us at NRG Park following your top COVID-19 headlines. Kathy, good morning.
Good morning to you. NRG is one of the locations where you can come today to get $100 if you get your first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Meanwhile, Governor Greg Abbott is now one of the latest breakthrough infections of fully vaccinated people who still test positive for COVID.
As you may have heard by now, I have tested positive for COVID-19.
Governor Abbott released that video in isolation at the governor's mansion. He tests daily and got a positive result yesterday. His office says Abbott is receiving antibody treatment and is in good health.
I want you to know that I have received the COVID-19 vaccine, and that may be one reason why I'm really not feeling any symptoms right now.
Here in Harris County, there's a new initiative. If you get the first COVID-19 shot through Harris County Public Health, you'll leave with a $100 cash card. The $2.3 million set aside for it is coming from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
What's the cost of a life when we know these vaccines save lives? So from a cost-benefit standpoint, I think it's pretty clear that the benefit outweighs the cost.
And today, the White House is expected to recommend most Americans get booster shots 8 months after their second doses of the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines. They would plan to start administering third shots beginning in mid to late September. And it's expected healthcare workers and nursing home patients will be the first to receive their boosters. As for people who received the J&J vaccine, officials haven't made that decision just yet, but experts believe it's likely they will also need booster shots. Reporting live at NRG, Kathy Hernandez, KPRC 2 News.
All right, y'all. Governor Abbott testing positive for COVID-19 after hosting a super big super spreader event. I think there was a tweet that he posted out that it was standing room only. So shout out to him for catching COVID and also then coming up. I think he posted a video today talking about he's good. He's feeling good. He doesn't have any symptoms. His wife, fortunately, did not test positive. And I'm just curious about how he spins this in his political campaign, right? This is the type of thing that, you're a person who is vaccinated, but you don't really talk about it. And you're also a person who's very clear on not wanting to implement a mask mandate. So I think this is par for the course. I mean, you can't be a person who says don't wear a mask and then you feel some type of way when you catch COVID. It is what it is. So I also think it's interesting, y'all, that Governor Abbott said that he don't have no symptoms. But if you don't have any symptoms, brother, why is it that you're all juiced up on some of these big heavy duty antibiotics? If you feel okay, you should just ride the wave out, right? Let's keep that same energy. You didn't want anybody to wear a mask. You're not mandating that your people. You're a public figure. You are a leader of an entire community, and you are basically telling your community that they don't have to take their part in wearing a mask. You're not going to mandate it. So let's just keep that same energy instead of putting the stress and pressure on our healthcare system, because everybody doesn't have the privilege to have these doctors and the access to these medications to treat COVID like Governor Abbott. So I think it's I think he's reckless, and this is reckless behavior. And I hope that we see him spin this in a different way, in a positive light. What do you guys think? I'm looking at you guys in the comments. I'm going to pull up some of these comments. Oh, we got Mike.
I still got echo.
No, you sound good. Okay. Mike went to the old school headphones,
Man,
y'all. We
I had
appreciate
to.
you.
And I'm on my daughter's iPad. But if y'all can hear me, then we good.
We're straight. So Mike, I'm just thinking about the ridiculousness that is Governor Abbott in this situation. He tested positive for COVID, and they're handing out $100 bills to get in line for that COVID shot. What are your thoughts on Governor Abbott testing positive?
Well, it says a lot about his state that they have to literally pay people to get vaccinated to protect themselves. But as far as his comments, I think what stood out to me the most was that he said that because he's fully vaccinated, his symptoms were minimal. And to that I say, what about the students in the schools who are not old enough to be fully vaccinated? Those are the schools where he's forcing them to not wear masks and saying that he's going to take the salaries of school officials who try to enforce the masks to keep those kids safe. Well, what's going to happen when they get COVID? Because they're not fully vaccinated. And what happens to people who work for the schools who could catch COVID, who don't have the access that he has to the best medications? Because in the state of Texas, to even get that antibody medication, you have to be referred by your doctor. And how many times have we saw doctors refuse to refer medication to Black people? It happens all the time. So if I'm in Texas and I get COVID, is my doctor going to make that recommendation for me? What if I don't have insurance and I'm on some state level insurance? Are those doctors going to be quick to refer that expensive medication to me? So there's a lot of inequities that come in that. And for him to come and make that type of blanket statement is just irresponsible. And it shows how much he doesn't really care about the people that he governs. And I don't understand why people continue to vote for people who don't really care about their interests and don't care about their health.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think Tracy raised two good points. The first one is keep it 100. If you weren't feeling bad, why you keep getting tested? Governor Abbott basically told the tall tale, and I'm going to say it was a tall tale, that he tests himself every day. That's excessive. And that also shows your privilege. Thank you very much. not Nidia, because you're right. These folks have access to cures that average citizens do not. And so if you are a person who just gets access to take a COVID test every single day, you got a lot going on. You're vaccinated, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, and let's just keep it moving and grooving. But Mike, let's talk about something else. Basically, it came out, y'all, that OnlyFans is getting out of the pornography business, y'all. People are outraged, upset, disappointed, and coming for OnlyFans, the new social media channel. But yeah, so starting in October, the company is going to prohibit creators from posting material with sexually explicit content on the website, which many sex workers use to sell fans, to sell explicit content. So people are kind of in an uproar because it kind of rose to popularity during the pandemic when people were at home. And so a lot of people wanted to access pornography or explicit content, sexual content, and they wanted to access it through their OnlyFans page. And this was a great way for sex workers to be able to get their coin. I mean, I think OnlyFans is, they're a business. They're trying to make money, and there's no way for them to really monetize it. And so they're pulling out right now. I think they will come back with either a separate platform where that they can make more money off of this for the as it relates to the users or to the creators who are creating the content. But right now it's like they can't figure out how to tax it in a legitimate way. So I think that's why they're pulling it from the platform.
I think that's part of it. I think some of it too is just the stigma against sex work in our country. When you read the statement that came from OnlyFans, it seems like the biggest pressure that they got was from the banks and from the payroll companies. And these companies thought that it looked bad for future investors to invest in a platform that was so heavily based in pornography. And it's just, it sucks to see this happening because OnlyFans built their everything on the backs of sex workers. Like, what is OnlyFans even for if it's not sex work? Their statement says that they're trying to transition to musicians and fitness instructors and chefs, but ain't nobody going to OnlyFans to learn how to make a recipe. There's a really specific thing that people are going to OnlyFans to get. And once they can't get that, I don't even know that OnlyFans will survive. But OnlyFans last year, they brought in $2 billion in transactions on their website. And this year, they were on pace to double that. The recent valuation of their company put them at $1.1 billion, and they're currently looking to pick up even more investors. So really, this is a financial decision. I think that, they built themselves up with those sex workers, and now they're trying to break away from them. And I doubt that this works out favorably for the company.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a stupid decision for them. If anything, the pornography business is a strong business, so I don't understand, why they're worried about the stigma. You have 130 million users on your platform. Yeah. Who cares? How is it stigmatized? And there's 130 million people engaged in the content that people are having. There's been girls and guys on there who, it's like a lot of fetishing, but it's a little mix. I guess I don't know if I would personally make an OnlyFans page if I'm a chef, right? There's other platforms to use like Patreon.
Exactly.
Or other things where you can have people access exclusive content. Not really into the OnlyFans. OnlyFans is synonymous with explicit content, so it just is what it is. So
it is, and just on behalf of the sex workers, it's just a really dirty thing that the OnlyFans company is doing. When you look at the landscape of pornography right now, you look at sites like Pornhub and all of the controversies that they've had. They have a lot of underage girls that end up on Pornhub, and it's so hard to get those videos pulled down. And even when you have sex workers who are of a legal age and they're working with these companies like Bang Bros and all of those companies. They're being exploited and they're being underpaid. OnlyFans was a way for all of those performers to put the money directly into their pockets, and OnlyFans was taking 20%. So it seemed like a good deal for everybody. So it makes no sense for them to do this.
Shout out to Janine Lamont, who's like, I never heard of the website. Guess I got to do some research. Oh, wait, fetishes? Well, maybe not. That's hilarious. Look, y'all, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we want to talk about R. Kelly and his first week in trial in Brooklyn, New York. It's getting crazy, y'all. We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
Hey y'all, this is Julia Jessie of Converge Media.
And I'm Mike Davis of the South Seattle Emerald.
And together, we host Clapback Culture every Thursday night at 7 p.m. right here on Converge Media.
And as y'all know, we've done a lot of coverage of the vaccine on our show. And we've both shared our experiences about getting vaxxed.
We are here to let you know that in the state of Washington, everyone over 12 years old is eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Keep in mind that there is no cost for the COVID-19 vaccine. This also means that you don't need to have medical insurance, so don't let that stop you.
You can get more information and resources by visiting kingcounty.gov/COVID.
If you're more comfortable speaking to a live person, you can call 206-477-3977.
The hotline is especially good for those in our community who may need translation services.
Or to set up an in-home vaccination appointment for themselves or someone they know that might not be comfortable at a vaccination site due to a disability, anxiety, or other reasons, or just to be connected to other resources.
Here in King County, the COVID vaccine is accessible and available. The summer is here, and we know you want to be outside. So let's celebrate the summer safely by getting vaxxed. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Clapback Culture. I am your co-host, Julia Jessie with Converge Media, alongside my partner in crime, Mr. Echo himself, Mike Davis, the South Seattle Emerald. You can talk, Mike.
I don't even want to talk.
Oh, listen, y'all. Look, R. Kelly, for decades, has been the face of sexual assault and misconduct. He faced allegations of sexual abuse of women and girls, that we mean minors, young girls. Kelly was arrested on these charges back in July of 2019, but his trial was delayed because of COVID, like everything else. But now, here he is in the state of New York, in Brooklyn, New York at that, y'all, and he's now being tried on federal racketeering charges in Brooklyn. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Kelly, jurors heard the first testimony from one of R. Kelly's alleged victims. She is Geronda Pace, now 28 years old, but she testified that she first met R. Kelly when she was just 15 at another courthouse when he was on trial in Chicago in 2008 on child pornography charges. He was acquitted in that case. She had gone to the trial to support him. A year later, she testified, he took her virginity. She admitted she lied initially to him, saying she was 19, but soon confessed to him that she was just 16, even showing him her ID. That did not stop Kelly, though, from continuing the relationship. She said he just told her to act like she's 21. Pace is one of at least 5 alleged victims expected to testify that not only did Kelly have sex with them, that he also controlled their lives, where they went, what they wore, in what prosecutors say was a criminal enterprise. In fact, they are prosecuting him under laws that are normally reserved for prosecuting mob bosses. Kelly's defense attorney, Nicole Blank Becker, in her opening statement, insisted the relationships were consensual, and besides, the women's stories are riddled with holes and hidden agendas. Jurors also expected to hear about an alleged victim who is not here to tell her story, the singer Aaliyah, who died in a plane crash in 2001. She and Kelly were briefly married when she was 15. He allegedly paid a bribe to get her a fake ID. Prosecutors said the two were married because Kelly had gotten her pregnant. This trial expected to last about a month. After that, Kelly faces another federal criminal trial in Chicago, which is where he first rose to fame.
Child, if this ain't some mess of the century, I don't know what is. So let's take it back, y'all. Let's give a little context to the story for those who don't know R. Kelly. Well, y'all know who R. Kelly is, but let's just take it back. In 2008, he was tried and acquitted of child pornography charges. So basically a video leaked or came out, that was way back in the day before like social media was a big deal. And there was a sex tape out where allegedly R. Kelly urinated on a child and conducted a bunch of different sexual acts. Very, very, very explicit acts. Anyway, so he was acquitted of those charges because the child, who I believe at the time in the video was 14, made a decision not to testify. And there's some more background story that came out lately, that the parents made a deal and blah, 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 whatever. We won't even go into that. But anyway, so we're talking about 2.5 decades of R. Kelly going through these kind of allegations, these charges. So there is a history built up of R. Kelly being a sexual predator. And there was a huge documentary that was released a couple years ago where all of these victims, i.e. survivors, came out and talked about their story of this empire, this infrastructure that R. Kelly had set up to basically victimize these young girls. And so here we are. He's on trial for all of this stuff, for racketeering, honey, and it's getting crazy. Mike Davis, are you here with us? What are your thoughts?
He's getting cooked.
Period.
R. Kelly is done. I mean, the criminal enterprise language, though, I don't quite understand that.
Ooh, I do.
Why? Please explain that.
Okay, so here's the charges, and here's why this is important. So he has one charge of racketeering, right? Okay, let's talk about what racketeering means. Racketeering means dishonest and fraudulent business dealings. Now, if you watch the documentary Surviving R. Kelly, y'all, go ahead and pull it up. It's a Lifetime documentary. It's like 5 or 6 different parts, honey. Get your popcorn and your tea. It's a good view. And listen, he would make the girls sign a non-disclosure agreement to to their interactions, and he would have them record videos to say that they didn't participate in any sexual acts, all of this stuff. So he has all this like fraudulent documentation to basically, as his like trump card. So it's like, I'm going to sexually assault you. I'm going to abuse you. I'm going to victimize you, but sign this disclosure agreement that says that I didn't violate you so that we can go on and do what we're going to do. So that's where they're coming with the Racketeering Act. When you talk about a criminal enterprise, R. Kelly didn't do this on his own. R. Kelly had people in place to go down to the McDonald's, to meet high school young girls, to pick them up, to bring them over to the mansion. And so you have all of these adults, these consenting adults, watching these girls, these young ass girls come up in here, and ain't nobody doing and saying nothing. This is an entire enterprise, and everybody should be held accountable, if you ask me.
Okay. So with that charge, will other people face charges as well?
No, because
Wow.
because it's not a conspiracy charge, right? And so it's only R. Kelly on trial. But that's not to say that the prosecutors won't bring charges on anybody else. But here's what I think. They really just want to get R. Kelly. And so if you watch the documentary, you see a lot of people coming out and having guilt and coming forward to say, you know what? I should have done something at the time. I saw it, but he was a celebrity. He was paying me. I decided not to do it, and they let him kind of get away with this stuff, Mike. So I think if anything, they would grant that person immunity for coming forward just so that they could cook R. Kelly.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I seen some of that Lifetime documentary as well, and like hanging out at the McDonald's that was by the high school. That was just evil. And I don't say that to say that he shouldn't be cooked. I just didn't understand what they meant by that charge. But that makes sense. I mean, R. Kelly's a monster. I feel like we've known that he's a monster for a long time. He shouldn't have been able to get off the first time. I mean, he was on video with that 14-year-old girl. Even the stuff with Aaliyah, I mean, it's just sickening. I didn't even know that she was pregnant until now. Like, that was new news to me.
I'm actually really surprised that they're bringing Aaliyah up into the trial. I personally feel that they should not, because, you know, she's no longer with us, and so she can't speak and represent herself. And, you know, the dead don't have a voice. So I don't truly believe that they should talk about Aaliyah. You guys, if you guys don't know, Aaliyah was the 15-year-old superstar. She would have been the Beyonce of our generation. R. Kelly was her executive producer on her album "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number," which he named anyway. Age ain't nothing but a number. And at 15 years old, when R. Kelly was 27, he married Aaliyah with the consent of her parents. Oh no, pause. No, that's a lie. That's a lie.
He forged the documents.
His team forged documents
to say she was 18.
That Aaliyah was 18.
Yeah.
Child, and that's racketeering. Okay.
But if there's proof that she was pregnant, then that's relevant right now. I don't know if they have that proof. I don't know if it's hearsay, but the court should hear that. I mean, R. Kelly was preying on young black girls. He needs to go to jail. Like, he had a really specific girl that he targeted. And there's a lot of people that believe that the reason why he got away with this for so long is because he was only targeting black girls and girls of color, and that he didn't have a string of little white girls. So, cook him. He should cook. I mean, I still listen to the music, but I think he should be in prison.
R. Kelly is a super predator. He's a super predator. Hashtag mute R. Kelly. I'm not going to participate and listen to his music, even though he's a great creator, but I don't want to give him any more streams. And it's just difficult. I don't want to celebrate a super predator like that. You know, somebody who for over 20 years has victimized black and brown girls all around this country, who has also victimized the parents and of girls out here. It's just, he is exactly the monster that we think he is. But I'm telling you guys, watch the documentary. It also comes out. I do think there were some allegations that R. Kelly's mother was having an inappropriate sexual relationship with him, which also may explain why he is the predator that he is. So
a babysitter as well. In that documentary, they said one of his female babysitters had molested him as well.
Yeah. Continuously, on a continuous basis. So, Cuddy, do we have to take a break, or can we roll into our last segment? Let's see. let's see, y'all, because I want to get right into this Lizzo story. Perfect. Okay, y'all. Lizzo. Lizzo is one of these music artists. She's very good, very talented young girl. She just dropped a new song called Rumors with Cardi B, and the people are coming for her on Twitter, child. It's really unfortunate. After dropping the new song Rumors, Lizzo took to Instagram on Sunday to address some of the negativity coming at her. People were calling her a mammy, calling her racial slurs, basically just being blatantly disrespectful about her being a big black woman. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Nobody was talking about her talent, but more so just talking about her looks. And I want to have a little bit of a conversation about that. If you guys don't know Lizzo, she is a very body, I guess you call it like body conscious. So she is, all for the big girls. She is going to give you skin, honey. She's going to show you naked. She's going to show that ass. She is, she shows it all. She reveals it all. And she's all about body positivity. And I love that about her. Lizzo's dope. And people are coming for her after this song and really like tearing her up on social media. I know we kind of had some offline conversations. What do you guys think about this? As a celebrity, you put yourself out there. As as a regular person, as an influencer, you put yourself out there on social media to be judged and criticized. Do you feel that because you put yourself out there that people have the right to say what they want to say about you? If I make a decision to wear a particular, maybe more provocative, revealing outfit, do I have to sit back and take the criticism that comes with that?
Yes. We all do. This is the world that we live in. Social media exists. People can get on the internet and they can say whatever they want. My stance has changed since like our previous meeting because I hadn't seen all the comments that she got. That's not good. I mean, people came for her in a way that I didn't really realize they was coming for her. But I mean, I don't know what can be done. I mean, you can't censor the internet. People are going to be able to come and say those things. And if you're Lizzo, you're just going to have thick enough skin to take it. And it doesn't make it right. And she's extremely talented. She has a very annoying personality, but she makes really, really good music. But some of the stuff that people were saying, I mean, man, people just being racist, people just being fat phobic. It was bad. It was really bad.
I'm looking at these comments, y'all, and I think it's interesting that we're almost fully divided. As an influencer, as a public figure, as a celebrity, you have a platform that people can engage upon. But what I think is happening with Lizzo, and oftentimes to a lot of celebrities, is that they are being bullied. And they're being mistreated. And I think, there's a point where we have to offer correction to people. And so just because, I'm famous, or just because I have a platform and I have a mic and I get to post pictures and videos and demonstrate who I am and what I'm about, it doesn't give people the right to torture me with negative comments. And I think, I'm always shocked and surprised when I pull up into the comments on somebody's Instagram and I see all the negative feedback. I mean, the trolls are real. I also think, the idea of having thick skin is irrelevant. I think, as a celebrity, you have to have thick skin. Not you should have, but you have to have, because people are so hurtful and they're so cruel. And I think social media, to your point, Mike, I agree with you. You can't censor the internet, but I think people need to be able to censor themselves. It's impossible to be this perfect woman. We come in all different shapes, sizes, and colors, and it sucks that people have to fit a particular body shape or a particular body image, and it's hard to live up to that. It's hard to live up to that expectation, and I think Lizzo does a great job at working against the machine. She's the total opposite of what people have deemed to be beautiful and perfect. And so she's the opposite of the Kardashians. She's not Kylie Jenner, right? She's Lizzo. And she's carving out a lane for women that do look like her. And there's more people that look like Lizzo than there are people that look like Kylie Jenner. So shout out
But
to
that's
Lizzo.
that's not. I mean, is that necessarily a good thing? I mean, people look, man. People need to be healthy. Obesity kills black people. Diabetes and heart disease, this kills black people. I understand the intention behind the body positive movement, but we also have to understand that, man, people can diet and exercise, and genetics play a big role. And you're gonna look the way you look based on your genes, but we can also promote a healthy lifestyle as well. And sometimes this whole body positive movement kind of skirts the idea that people need to get healthy, especially in America where childhood obesity is the highest in the world. And as far as like the bullying online, I just don't really agree with that. I mean, you can get off the internet. Nobody's forcing Lizzo to read the comments. She's getting on the internet and she's allowing the trolls to hurt her because she reads that. Bullying is what happens when you go to school and there's nowhere you can go. You have to be there and you're being targeted face to face. If you choose to log in and read the comments, that's your choice.
This is also coming from a guy who doesn't have Instagram. So he doesn't follow Lizzo. And if he did follow Lizzo, he would know that Lizzo had not only lost a significant amount of weight, but also promoted on her platform that she wasn't trying to change her body composition, but that she was looking to have a more healthier lifestyle. So she has been promoting that she's trying to have a better lifestyle. But Mike, you're also a person who's not fat and has never been fat. And so it's easy, I think, for people who already are in shape and who don't have weight issues, who never have weight issues, to be like, but you're fat, you're obese, and you need to lose some weight. That's honestly the hardest shit you can ever do. Like,
that's not what I said.
But that's how it comes off. Like, just because Lizzo is fat doesn't mean people should fat shame her. Just because she's fat doesn't mean that she's promoting obesity. She's not promoting obesity. She's just being herself. But when I was 50 pounds heavier and I was over 200 pounds, I was still a person who was 200 pounds who was going to the gym and knocking people out in the gym, but would stop and go to McDonald's because I was depressed on my way home. And so when you do, there's a cycle when you are heavy, right? There's a cycle when you have all this extra weight, that this image of beauty well, let me say this. Being heavy has nothing to do with my health in its entirety, right? You're absolutely correct that, being overweight is synonymous with being unhealthy, but that's not always the truth. And I think a lot of people, oftentimes people who are overweight, who do fit the obese category, don't want to be obese or overweight. But it's just very difficult. It's very difficult to make that change. It's very difficult to have that discipline, to follow that diet, to work out, and to do that consistently and not put the weight back on. So I say all that to say, I still don't believe that it gives people, these strangers and internet trolls, the right, the audacity, and the authority to bully and to troll Lizzo to the point where she feels less than. I mean, that girl she took to Instagram and she was crying her eyes out like, y'all not even criticizing my music. Y'all are just criticizing on how I look.
I get what you're saying. She doesn't have to read it. If people was running up on her after her shows, I think that I would see that point. If people was in her face and running, she can't even walk down the street without getting that, I understand. Put your phone down. That's a choice. You choose to pick up that phone. You choose to log in, and you choose to read your comments. You could turn your comments off. You could turn your notifications off. I mean, you don't have to read that. Like, if you're letting people. She's letting people.
social media is how she makes her money. I mean, that's a part of her brand.
She'll make
Lizzo,
her money regardless. You saying that if she's not on social media, she won't make her money? She'll make her
absolutely
money.
not. There's no
That's not
way.
true.
Lizzo would not name any famous professional musician that doesn't have social media. Always.
You just because she
Always.
has social media doesn't mean that she has to read the comments.
You're
She
not
doesn't
you're
have to
not
read
going
them.
to, you're not gonna make no bread and not be on social media. That is how people monetize. That is the only platform that they
false.
control.
So
I
you're
mean,
saying
they're content
she-
creators.
she
They
doesn't-
are actual content creators.
She
Where are they
can't.
gonna
She
make
doesn't
their
even
money?
have to do that herself. She could pay somebody to run her Instagram. Not all famous people run their own Instagram accounts. There's people. That's a
if she
job.
didn't- But this is the thing. Even if she didn't run it, she would still be on the platform. There's absolutely. We're on social media, bro. We're using YouTube. This is a social media platform. There's absolutely no way that you can sit here
And guess
say
what?
that in order to
If people
name
trash
any
me in the
brand,
comments on social media, I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even care because I'm not gonna see. I don't really care what people say like that. She just because she's posting on social media doesn't mean that she has to engage with strangers. You give strangers access to you. That's your choice. Take that access away.
okay. But again, my point is this. Number one, as a celebrity, she absolutely 100% has to maximize her business, her brand by being on social media. She would be a fool if she did not. That is her whole job. Her job is to show up and market herself, market her brand, and market her music. That's exactly
She
what
doesn't
Lizzo
seem
gets
fit
paid
to
to
work.
do.
If
Should she
that's what
have to?
you're getting pushed
She
to
should not have to
tears.
go to work.
You're not fit.
She should not have to go to work and be harassed, berated, disregarded, racial, be subjected to racial slurs, be subjected to fat shaming, be subjected to any of that bullshit by any of these trolls to make her feel less than. I'm not saying that it's going to stop, right? But I'm just saying that people are cruel and they're intentionally cruel, and I think that's whack as hell. Like,
You're
you
right.
shouldn't have to be like that.
People shouldn't have to be like that, but people are. And unless you're arguing to shut down social media, this is the landscape that Lizzo operates in. So she's either going to have to get tougher or hang it up. She also brings stuff like this on herself. What if she be showing up at basketball games with her whole booty out? Like, that's a family space. People go to basketball games with their children. I don't want to see anybody nude at a basketball game. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, I have to agree with you that her outfit choice to the basketball game was absolutely inappropriate. But I think she did that for shock value. And to your point, when you put yourself out there, you're going to get feedback. That's just is what it is. And I agree that is the landscape. However, just like Lizzo needs to have tough skin, I think it also should be a requirement that folks down the line need to check themselves before they pull up into somebody's comments. Like, what does it benefit you to roll up in there and be like, man, you ugly as hell. You look like a fat black mammy. Like, what does that benefit you?
I would never understand that. I'll never understand why people do that.
I think as much energy as we're saying that Lizzo needs to go ahead and boss up and toughen up and have tougher skin, we also need to say internet trolling is whack as hell. Like, that's whack.
But we have said that. Everybody's always said that. When you get on the internet, most of these people aren't even real. Their Abby is a monkey or a dog. Those are the most reckless people on social media. People that are like real. They're not doing all that. You know what I'm saying? It's the phonies. So like you can't always let that affect you. I feel sorry for Lizzo because, like you said, me not being on Instagram, I didn't really know the extent that they was coming for her. And it was crazy how they was coming for her. And it's wrong. I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm saying that this is social media. We are all a part of it. We built this, and I don't think the trolls are going anywhere.
Blah, 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 blah. Shout out to you, Lizzo. I stand with you, sis. Shout out
Get
to
tough,
the big
Lizzo.
girls.
You don't want to see these tears all the
Shout
time.
out to the big girls. You holding it down for the big girls, sis. I get you. It's all good. Keep your head up. And you still streaming #1 and in the top 10 on all the platforms, baby girl.
And yet she's still weak enough to let the trolls get to her. That's corny. That's hella corny.
Anyway, y'all, we are out of time. It has been a pleasure to do this show with you every Thursday night. Mike Davis, where can they find you when you're not here? Because we know you don't got no social media.
Well, you can find me at the South Seattle Emerald, everywhere you find the Emerald. Tomorrow, if you check out NPR, I'll be on KUOW for the Weekend Review tomorrow at noon.
All right, thank you. And I am Jules Jessie. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. You know what it is. Please pull up and follow me. And also, y'all, Cuddy, our producer behind the scenes, is having an event, Sleepless in Seattle Creative Festival, coming up. I will personally be there hosting live in Seattle. I cannot wait at Sewer Park Amphitheater. So that's going to be really fun. Yeah, this is it. This is our show tonight. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Thanks, y'all. Peace.
Peace.